Vehicle Maintenance Record Requirements. This is FMCSA Compliance Q&A from Acrisure Truck Group. Take it away, Mark.
396 is the Vehicle Maintenance Program. And what it indicates is that every carrier must, for every vehicle, systematically inspect them, repair them, and maintain them, and cause it to be maintained, meaning that each truck may be following a warranty schedule. It could be following your own personal preference schedule, but there must be an actual schedule that brings that particular truck in or trailer on a regular basis to ensure no defects or violations are occurring, to make any lubrication needs, to make any adjustments, perhaps as brakes, on a regular basis. That is a systematic process that needs to be demonstrated at FMCSA, whether it be a chalkboard in the shop, whether it be a piece of paper showing when the vehicle's coming on a regular basis, or documentation that will show when it's coming in on a regular basis and showing its routine. That isn't just only coming in when violations occur. So then you are required to keep records. So any records of any maintenance for these vehicles must be maintained for each vehicle. And what that vehicle record file must have that precipitates the file itself are those bulleted items in 1, 2, and 3. They're going to seem a little frivolous, but FMCSA auditors still look for these items. What I encourage a carrier to do is, if you're going to use paper, just create a manila file folder, something to the effect, and for that particular vehicle, that unit number, make, model, whatever, make sure these paragraphs 1, 2, and 3 are right on that cover. Then it's done. Any additional records that go into there get put into that file folder, and it'll be satisfactory. Any records of maintenance then must be kept for a minimum period of 1 year. Then if you discard the vehicle, sell the vehicle, it's required to be kept for 6 months thereafter. Why is that? Well, if the vehicle is involved in a serious crash or a fatal after it leaves your control, FMCSA investigators and state investigators are still going to look back at those maintenance records to see if regular maintenance was performed and who performed that maintenance on that vehicle. This is an example of the minimum information that's required for each vehicle: that year, serial number, company number, make, tire size, and owner would be if it's leased on there, or the owner of the vehicle. That minimum information must exist. In addition, your maintenance record must have the other items down below, indicating the date of any inspection repair, what was done, the type of repair, the mileage, and when it's due next. Some form of documentation must exist. Now, I will say is I strongly encourage motor carriers to switch to electronic record keeping, because any of the audits that generally are occurring for all these records, driver qualification files, vehicle maintenance records, any records that's required to be maintained by a company, is being done in off-site review or audits requiring electronic sharing. So if you can convert paper records into electronic documents, it's acceptable, it's encouraged, and it's approved. So the driver, at the end of the day, if they find a vehicle defect or one is made known to them, at the end of the day is when a written report is required. Legally, by Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, it's not a physical inspection at the end of the day. It's a documentation at the end of the day. And that at the end of the day, they'll be completing what's called a daily vehicle inspection report that identifies any of those defects that were made known to the driver. Particularly, what's very important in this case is that driver was stopped throughout the day by a DOT officer, received a roadside vehicle inspection report that shows a vehicle defect. A motor carrier must ensure a DVIR is absolutely prepared for that day. That is the auditing mechanism. If an audit is done, an auditor will pull up the last 3 months of roadside vehicle inspection reports with defects. When they walk in the door, those will be the vehicles that were identified in those reports. Those will be the DVIRs that will be asked for and must be produced. No longer is the need required to do a DVIR every day. In the past, well, in about 2014, the change occurred. In the past, you had to do a DVIR every day, whether a defect was known or not. Now it's only when a defect is made known, discovered to the driver, then it must be recorded. So if a defect is observed, the driver must identify it and sign the report. Then that has to be routed to a carrier official. The carrier official now must review and certify, generally sign, somehow certify, that any defects listed on there were actually corrected, or repairs were unnecessary because maybe it was not a safety related item. And we're going to see in the next particular information piece here that the third caveat is whoever drives it next has to review it and sign it again for 3 signatures. But nevertheless, the DVIRs are required to be maintained for 3 months. After 3 months from receipt, the driver or the carrier can discard any DVIRs. And in essence, that kind of would encourage it because there's no reason to keep a DVIR past the 3-month period. So in the DVIR, again, it's going to identify any deficiencies for the vehicle. And there's some exceptions. So if it's only a 1 truck operation, you only operate 1 vehicle, no DVIR requirements do exist. But I wanted to highlight this last section, 396.13. So before the next driver drives that vehicle, is where I mentioned, they have to do that 3rd signature. So somehow make sure the system that's utilized within the company has the ability to either electronic signature or physical signature show on a DVIR maintained for 3 months or less, the 3 signatures to show it was properly repaired and documented the same.